Welcome back to Niš. In the prior video, we walked around its imposing fortress and learned some of its history. Today, I want to explore city's numerous monuments. Niš is a city with a 2000-year-old history. Niš hosts wide promenades, tranquil parks, and busy squares. Statues, imposing figures, and memorials dominate many open spaces in the city. Its monuments honor important figures from the Roman past and Serbian history, pay tribute to the kings and commemorate war heroes. They celebrate the achievements of its residents and mourn the victims of various aggressions. Niš is the birthplace of Roman Emperor Constantin the Great, first Roman emperor who converted to Christianity. Constantine's reforms paved the way to decriminalization, spread, and eventual adoption of Christianity as a state religion in the empire. Many other Roman emperors, both Western and Eastern, were born in Niš. Among them are Constantius III and Justinian I. Various artifacts from the Roman era can be viewed in Nish's museums or at this open-air lapidarium inside Nish's fortress. Let's continue with the Imperial Monuments. Niš was under the yoke of Ottoman occupation for nearly 500 years, being finally liberated by the Serbian army in the early 1878. Another hardship followed in 1914, when the Central Powers, acting on their imperialist ambitions and hungry for more resources, declared war and invaded Serbia. Niš fell in November 1915. Central Powers, especially Austrians, unleashed a campaign of terror on POWs and civilians alike. By the end of the war, perhaps as much as 30% of Serbia's population was killed. The Monument of Liberators of Niš was unveiled in 1937 and commemorates liberation of Niš from both the Ottoman Empire in 1878 and the Central Powers occupation in October 1918. King Alexander I ruled Yugoslavia from 1921 until 1934. In foreign affairs, Alexander pivoted to France. Domestically, Alexander was staunchly anti-communist, providing safe haven for many white emigres and forming various defense pacts with Yugoslavia's neighbors to counter any Soviet influence in the region. Alexander came in odds with many separatist and nationalist groups in Yugoslavia, outlawing many political parties. In 1934, he was assassinated during an official visit to Marseille. His assassin, Bulgarian Vlado Chernozemsky, had alleged ties with fascist groups. We will move towards World War II. German troops quickly captured Niš following the invasion of Yugoslavia in April 1941, afflicting violence and genocide on its population, promoting fratricide and drawing the country in blood. The heroic struggle during the Brown Plague is continuously reflected in monuments throughout Niš. Here is a monument to the fallen airmen of World War II, unveiled in 1960. This monument is called Spark of Freedom, commemorating the deed of partisan fighter Alexander Voinovich, who in August 1941 threw a bomb at the group of Wehrmacht officers at nearby hotel, killing 5 of the occupiers. The monument is surrounded by the busts of other partisan heroes. Monument in the Bubanj Memorial Park is one of the widely recognized Yugoslavian spomenics. depicting three fists that raise in defiance. The monument was constructed in the early 1960s at the site of the mass executions during fascist occupation of Niš and Yugoslavia. Shortly after capture of Niš, a Red Cross concentration camp was established by the occupying authorities in vicinity of Nish's fortress. Similar to other Nazi prison camps, Red Cross camp housed POWs, Jews, and any other civilians deemed dangerous by the regime. The first recorded execution took place at the Bubanj field in the February 1942 as a reprisal against the successful escape from Red Cross of 105 prisoners. About 700 remaining Red Cross prisoners were driven to the area, made to dig out trenches, and subsequently killed by the Germans. The mass killings at Bubanj continued for the next 2.5 years, mostly under the covers of night. In Yugoslavia, Germans, as a practice, murdered 100 people for each killed Wehrmacht soldier and 50 for each wounded soldier. By the most conservative estimates, 10,000 people were murdered here by the Axis occupiers. However, many historians believe that the number is a lot higher, since Red Cross functioned as a transit camp, with multitude of prisoners being brought from all parts of Yugoslavia. In 1950, first temporary monument, a pyramid, was constructed here. By the late 50s, the need for more grandiose monument arose. Following the contest, the design by the Croatian sculptor Ivan Sabolic won. Here is a bit of World War II trivia. While being allies, Soviet Union and USA did fight an air battle during the course of World War II. The Niš incident happened in the skies over the city on November 7th, 1944. Earlier that day, a group of American fighter P-38 Lightning planes, commanded by Colonel Clarence Edwinson, took off from an airfield in Italy. By early November, most of Serbia's proper was liberated. However, Germans continued to hold off in the southwestern regions, Kosovo region, and Macedonia. Edwinson's mission was to bomb German supply route between Skopje and Pristina. Some American pilots later stated that they were simply lost and thought they had flown farther south from their actual locations. Others blamed the lack of Soviet communications about Soviet precise positions. Whatever the explanation might have been, American planes began to bomb Soviet military column that was heading north from Niš. Soviet yaks quickly took off from Nish's airfield and brief air battle ensued. Only after a Soviet pilot, Koldunov, flew near one of the P-38, banking and letting the American pilots see Soviet insignia, Americans turned around and flew away. About 30 Soviet servicemen, including General Georgy Kotov, were killed. At least 2 P-38s were shot down, resulting in the death of their crew. Edwinson did not report the incident to the superiors, and instead took immediate leave of absence. Roosevelt offered formal apology to Stalin the following month, accepting American responsibility for the incident. Colonel Edwinson was reassigned from his position, but no other formal reprimand followed. Edwinson was later promoted to brigadier general and continued active military service until 1960s. The 1944 was not the last time American planes bombed Niš. In May 1999, Niš was targeted by cluster munitions in a barbaric attack by NATO. At least 16 of its residents were murdered when such military targets as market, hospital and university in the city center were hit. Numerous industries in and around Niš were destroyed. Environment polluted. Unexploded munitions are continuously found around Nish's countryside. In total, during the course of the so-called humanitarian intervention, up to 56 residents of Niš and its environs were murdered. The monument to the victims of the NATO aggression was unveiled in 1999, following the cessation of the bombings. This would conclude today's video. In the subsequent and final film, we will explore grotesque side of Nish's history. Stay tuned.